Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Welcome back for another Mass Make Monday video. Today we're creating trifold journaling spot thingies, and it's inspired by this piece of junk mail I got, which has a pocket over here and a little tabby kind of thing over here. So we're going to create something that looks kind of like this, although I did this one backwards. So we're going to have a pocket, and I meant to put coffee dye paper as writing spot on this and promptly stenciled the whole thing, but you could write on that as well. And so that's what we're going to be doing. Let's start our timer. And I've got out a bunch of digitals and some book page because I figured we could do some book page wise. Now, I use US letter size paper, which is 8.5 by 11. But since I want to put these in potentially pockets and on pages, 8.5 is a little too tall because I'm going to fold it on the 11 side. So we're going to trim all of these guys down. And I took off from my prototype about 1.5 inches. And I'm sorry, I know all of my trimmer is not on screen, but there is literally no way for me to do that. So I'm just going to trim down 1.5 inches off of all of the papers. Although I did have a thought of possibly doing one of the pages cut in half completely, and so doing a short one. So we'll do that with one of them too. So how's everybody doing this Monday? I realized after posting last Monday's video that it was the 1-year anniversary of me starting my YouTube channel, and I completely missed it. All right, this is the one we're going to cut in half, so I'm cutting it at 4 1/4. So we'll have 2 small ones. So yeah, it's been a year since I started my YouTube channel, and so far so good. I think as of the last time I checked, 386 subscribers, which is not that many, but it's more people than I actually know, so that means there are people I don't know who are actually, subscribed to my channel, which is kind of cool. And yeah, so if you want to help my channel grow in its 2nd year, please be sure to do all the things. If you like, leave comments, subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. All those things help get my videos out to a wider audience. Also, feel free to share my videos with your friends. Tell them all about me, which will help my channel grow as well. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed and watched my videos and commented and given me a thumbs up over the past year. It has really been wonderful. Every time I get a comment, it makes my day. It makes me so happy that someone took the time to comment on my videos. I know I don't do it often enough on the YouTubers I enjoy, and need to do a better job of that this year. But yeah, it makes all of us creative YouTubers so happy when you comment and like and subscribe and do all those things. All right, so now that we've cut everybody down, we're gonna pull out I'm gonna use my scoreboard. Now, you don't have to. I just find when I'm doing a smaller fold that I want that on the outside. I'm just having a think so that I don't do the same thing I did with this one, which is I put the paper in this way, scored it, and realized I had wanted the score to be over here. So I'm just trying to decide, I want this to be the outside. I want to score over here. All right, we're going to score our pocket, and this one is a little narrower. And let's see, let me just check and see how. Oh, good, you can see the top of my scoreboard. Okay. So I scored my pocket in at about 1.5 inches. I think on this one, I'm going to go at 8 so that it's a little shallower. And it's really just that fold that I'm going to use the scoreboard for. The rest of them can kind of be eyeballed, so I want to go kind of like so. So I don't know how well this is showing up. Let's move the scoreboard out so I can show you basically what I'm doing, and then we'll do the rest and score everybody. So I'm basically just folding over, and I kind of folded since we're doing like a trifold, but because I want to add a little tab here or label, I'm not folding it equally. So I don't want this piece going all the way over to the edge. I want to fold this one in, and again, having a little bit of space helps with the folding so that it doesn't stick. And this is going to need some decorating along here because that's kind of plain and boring. And that folding is just so not straight. I did not fold that straight at all. This is where, right, if that fold is maybe straight. This fold we can get kind of straight. Not always great with the folding straight. All right, this is a piece of book page that I use for cleanup of inks on my desk. I want that to be on the outside. Go this way. Again, I think we're gonna crease it about 8 to create just a little pocket because that's it. Let's see, it's a little shy of 9. Let's do a little over 1. And so we're gonna fold, and then the rest of the folding is kind of eyeballing it. So I bring it over, then I fold this kind of over, and I try and get my fold all straight. And so I'm filming this on the Friday before Monday, so it's Good Friday. Because it's Easter weekend, so I hope everyone had a lovely Easter. All right, so these I'm all gonna score at 9.5 to give a 1.5 inch pocket. And I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and do all the scoring, and then that way we can move the scoreboard out of the way and do all the folding. So yeah, just doing it at 9.5. I will be hosting Easter. My dad and sister will be coming over, and my sister's birthday is in April, so we usually celebrate her birthday along with Easter, which means I really do need to find some time this weekend to make her a birthday card because I haven't made a birthday card yet. Yeah, I'm horrible about being last minute and making my cards for my family for various holidays. Yeah. And this year especially, is it just me or did Easter like really like sneak up on us? And I forgot to turn that other one around because it's a little bit directional, so I think that's going to be going the other way. Because yeah, we want to score on this side. Because yeah, it's early this year, so there's that, and it just seemed like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's Easter already. Really? How did that happen? I did very little Easter crafting this year because, yeah, completely took me by surprise. Although, if you do want to see an Easter project, I do have one up on my channel from last year, and I'll have it pop up at the end screen on this one, and it's one I really loved the project. And I have been putting it on my end screen lately because I think it deserves more attention than it got, just because I think it was a really cool project. Maybe nobody else agrees, but I took the Tim Holtz Ideology Salvaged Rabbits and turn them into fuzzy bunnies using like brushed out yarn. So I really like how that project came out. And all right, that's all over scoring. So now comes the time for our folding. So I'm gonna fold on my score line and bring it in. Yeah, I actually took that decoration out the other day so that I'd have some Easter decorations out. And then I'm gonna eyeball, and I'm not pushing down just yet. I'm kind of just eyeballing. Okay, I'm bringing this over so far. And if you desperately need a measurement, let's see. Let's unfold this after we put our creases in. And I can tell you some measurements. So I folded it about 2.5 and probably 6 1/4-ish to create this. If you absolutely need to have your measurements for doing this. So yeah, we don't do very much in the way of Easter anymore. Neither my sister nor I have children. It's just me, my dad, and my sister these days. You know, my mother used to do, get us something for Easter, and for a while there, she kept buying me plants, and I kept killing them, and I kept returning the favor. So yeah, we kept exchanging plants that would end up dead for a while until we were both like, because the madness needs to stop. Because yeah, I do not have a green thumb. My dad is an avid gardener, and for some reason, my mother still never managed to keep the plants I got her alive. Probably because they didn't fit with my dad's garden aesthetic, so they never got planted in his yard. All right, let's do this guy about there and there. And I probably should be telling you who these digitals are by. Now, as you can see, I have in my stack book page. So if you don't have digitals, you can use book page. You could use scrapbooking paper, cardstock. You're just going to want to go with something a little lighter weight just because of all the folding over, because it makes things easier. But yeah, you could definitely do this with cardstock if that's what you have. Magazine pages, whatever paper you've got, you can use. And if you do like with a plainer paper, that just means you have more to decorate. I'm trying to think what else has been going on. I am meeting a friend of mine for lunch today. She and I met in grad school, so we've known each other over 20 years now. And we tend to go to lunch together twice a year, once during Lent and once during Advent. Like, somehow we ended up, because we are both Catholic, so we observe, or sort of observe Lent and Advent. So yeah, we go every year during those two seasons for some reason. It just, I think one year she noticed that seemed to be the times when we'd go, hey, we haven't seen each other in a while, we need to get together. And so it became a bit of a joke that, we have to get together. So yeah, she sent me a message last week. It was like, Lent's almost over and we haven't done lunch yet. So we are having lunch today. So that will be very nice and will get me out of the house. And the dogs are going to be utterly confused because I left the house Monday during my lunch hour to go to the grocery store. And then yesterday I had a doctor's appointment. And so I left the house for the doctor's appointment, and and, you know, stopped off at Michael's and my local thrift store, which I was very surprised. I found a couple books that were from like 1907 at my thrift store, and it's not necessarily a thrift store that I would have expected to find that sort of thing at, so I was very excited about those. I picked them up. So yeah, I think I picked up 4 more books that were either antique or vintage. Is this directional? Not really. Okay, so I can go this way. I'm not going to be offended by those flowers going that way. And so I picked up a couple things there, the books, and then I picked up, should try and fold straight. I am horrible about that. Like, yeah, if you're concerned about how straight you're folding your stuff, using the scoreboard should help you there. So if you want to do that instead of just eyeballing it like I'm doing, yeah. There we go. And then today I'm going out to lunch. So yeah, it's craziness. I've been leaving the house multiple times this week, and dogs just don't know what to do with that since I work from home. So yeah, my job is fully remote these days, so I hardly ever leave the house. I should get out more, but inertia is strong in me. Like if I'm in the house, like as I told my dad, because he had initially needed me to come by today to help him with something, or at some point this weekend, he was like, "Can you come by?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm leaving the house on Friday, so I could do that when I come by on Friday since I'll be out of the house." So much easier for me to do all the things when I'm already out of the house than to get my butt out of the house to begin with. So yeah, so you know, it's been a busy week for me, leaving the house multiple times. Yeah, and it was funny. I was leaving my doctor's office, and he saw that they were having me fill out some paperwork, and he's like, "You're not a new patient. Why are they having you fill that out?" And I'm like, "Well, because it's a new year." And he like scoffs at this, and I was like, "Of course, if I'd known I was gonna have to fill out paperwork, I'm like, I would have brought my reading glasses because I'm getting old and I can't see anymore." He looks at me, he's like, "You're not old," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And then he looks down at my paperwork and sees that I'm the same age as he is. He's like, "Oh, you are old." I'm like, "Yeah, he's like, I thought you were like 35. I'm like, "Yeah, no, since I am, you know, going to be 48 this year." All right, so we've got all of our pieces folded. Let's figure out. Let's put some coffee dyed paper, because now if I had printed this double-sided or printed on coffee dyed paper, which I'm just not sure my printer would like, I wouldn't need to do this step. But since I did not do that, I want to add the coffee dyed paper just to cover up all the white. Let's mark it with a pencil since we didn't do any kind of measuring. And I'm just going to cut off there. And let's go ahead, and I know I did take this down to 7. And I don't necessarily want it to fill the whole space, so we're going to take this down a little bit shorter than 7. And then cut this piece on the line I marked. And that should give me a piece that will fit right there. And then won't interfere with any of the folding. Like, that's the one thing I want to, the reason why I'm cutting my coffee dyed paper shy of Let me make sure I'm saying. So I've got my folds here, my lines here. I'm going in a little bit just because then I won't have it bulking up at the fold lines. And so it'll fold and unfold more smoothly. All right, so those two pieces will go with this one. That one out of the way. Let's see. This one. All right, let's try and do this as quickly as possible. All right, so again, I'm gonna trim it down height-wise since I know the height on my pieces. And then I'm using my pencil to mark, where I need to cut the piece off. Let's line that up a little bit. And I'm coming in a little bit, and what we can do is ink the edges to get rid of the white. There's another option there. There we go. There. And actually, if I shift it over to where the fold line is, I can mark for my next cut, if I can see where my fold line is, here, and make two cuts at once. Save a little bit of time. I just need a little bit taken off. Yeah, I probably should have cut down some pieces of paper, although since I am not using measurements for my folds, couldn't necessarily guarantee if I had cut them in advance that they'd be the right size. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oof. Why do I always do so many? Or try to do so many? Never really ends well. So apparently my microphone died and I had no idea that happened while I was recording the video. So I have no audio for the video from this point on. So it's a voiceover for the rest of this video. And at this point I think I'm going through and picking out which ones of the ones we folded I want to finish and add coffee dyed papers to try and get at least some of them fully completed by the end of our 45 minutes. And so I'm just gonna keep cutting down papers for the ones I picked out. And I am recording this on Easter. My family have already been over. We had a late lunch for our Easter dinner, and my sister got her card. I managed to come up with an idea. I watercolor painted her a picture of a chicken for her card because she's obsessed with getting chickens. And we had lamb for dinner, and I made her favorite dessert, which is a rum cake, so she was quite happy with that. I hope everyone else is having a lovely Easter Sunday, had a lovely Easter Sunday, as it is now Monday when this video is airing. I'm just checking to see if that cutoff piece will work for any of those, and the dogs need tending to, so I'm pausing the video, and now I am back and starting the timer back up again and trying to remember which one it was I was going to use that piece of paper for. And I honestly have no idea what I chatted about during this part of the video. And I'm trying to come up with something to talk about now so it's not in complete and utter silence for the remainder of this video. I don't tend to put music on just because you've got to deal with copyright issues and ensuring whatever music you put to your video isn't going to cause a copyright problem. And so, yeah, I can't put music over this because that's just too much extra stuff. So that's why I usually am chatty during the Mass Make Money Monday videos and chat about, or try and chat about something so that you don't have complete and utter silence. So let's see what's going on. I'm currently watching on Netflix Firefly Lane because I haven't actually seen it yet, and I was looking for something to watch the other night and figured I'd give it a try. And it's pretty good. It's very much a teaser in that they show you something at the beginning and of the season, and then, you know, don't fully reveal what's going on. Like at the beginning of the first season, they're getting ready to go to a funeral, and it's not clear whose funeral it is, so you've got to watch the whole season to figure out who it is that they're going to the funeral for. So they do stuff like that. And I'm on the second season, a couple episodes in. And that's about all that's been going on. I had mentioned earlier in the video that I was going to lunch with a friend on Friday, but we ended up having to cancel because she had a minor family emergency to deal with, so that got canceled, which meant the dogs didn't have to freak out over me being out of the house again, although I did end up running errands on Saturday to do my grocery shopping and pick up the stuff I needed to make for Easter dinner. And I actually almost forgot to pick up the rum for my sister's rum cake, which would have been bad. Alright, so I'm still cutting down the coffee dyed paper to line the inside of the pieces. Now that I have finished trimming the coffee dyed paper for all of the ones I'm planning on finishing during this video, we're going to go ahead and start gluing. And right now I'm pointing out that because this is a piece of book page, I don't feel the need to do anything on the side where we're gluing closed the pocket, because you've got some interest with the text from the book. And that page is actually one that I used as I think as a cleanup page from doing inking for some other project. So I'm just going to add the coffee dyed paper to the 2 flaps and not do anything to decorate the part where the pocket is. And so now I'm just adding glue to my edges, and I'm using art glitter glue. You could of course use whatever glue you prefer. This is one of those times glue stick would be a great option instead of the art glitter glue. And I'm just making sure my piece of coffee dyed paper doesn't go over where our fold lines are, so that the piece will continue to fold up nice and neatly. And right now I just used my bone folder to kind of smooth out the glue and even things out and make sure the paper's down well. And now I'm adding the piece to the other flap. I'm trying to make sure they're lined up with each other, because you can see there's a little bit showing on either side. And now I'm just refolding everything and making sure it's all folded down nicely, and double checking the way it's supposed to get folded. And I'm apparently grabbing something and I have no idea what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm pulling out my stamp collector booklet to try and find something to go on the page as our little label tab thingy, because apparently I hadn't pulled something out to go with this piece. Now that digital that I just grabbed is by Shabbydabbydoodah, and I liked the size of that one, but I thought I had one I liked the color better on, so I grabbed those out. And of course I am going to end up inking the edges of those pieces to cover up any white in case I didn't cut it out exactly. And I'm just using my dark brown dauber, which probably has Scorched Timber on it. And now I'm going to glue one piece on the front of the page. And I'm just going to apply a little glue to the bottom of the piece and stick it on center-ish. And as I'm watching it now, wow, that's way not center. But that's okay. And then I'm going to flip it over and attach the other one. They're the same piece of ephemera, so they should line up nice and neatly. And I'm going to apply glue and attach that so that it's got the little tab type shape, kind of like on our inspiration piece. So that one's all finished. Of course, when I go to put it into a journal, I'll probably do a little bit more decorating. And since these were hand cut out, they didn't line up exactly perfectly, so I just went in with an ink dauber and added some ink to cover up any white that was showing. And now I'm using my bone folder to reinforce those folds, and that one is done. So there we go. You've got space for journaling and a pocket that you can stick a tag or something into. And I've got another one. Again, it's book page, so I'm not going to decorate where we're gluing the pocket shut. And I'm going to add the coffee dyed paper and glue our pocket shut. I think I'm pointing out then that that's a good spot for decorating once I decide what journal it's going to go into. Or you could ink that, and you could always notch the pockets. I'm not bothering to do that on these, but that is an option if you want to put a little notch to show off the fact that those pockets are pockets. You could always do that. Oops, dropped that piece, but didn't get too much glue on the other page, so it's okay. And I think this is the one I didn't line up the coffee dyed paper correctly, and it's overhanging the fold line. So I'm just going to come in with some scissors and trim that off because, yeah, it's not folding as neatly as it was because the coffee paper is overhanging where the fold is. So you want to be careful if you're adding coffee dyed paper that you make sure you stay within the 2 fold lines for that center piece to make sure your fold folds nicely. And again, I'm going to pull something out to go on that page to act kind of like a label-y tab thingy. But I'm thinking instead of doing a small one, I want to pick something that's bigger so that it will cover up some of that blank space. And I'm trying out a piece. Nope, didn't care for that one. Kind of liked this piece, but I didn't have anything else similar in size that was going to work for going on the back of that piece. So I'm going to end up putting that back. Apparently I'm having difficulty getting these pieces back into the album, and I auditioned that piece but decided I don't care for that one. Yeah, this one involves a bit of mucking about trying to find exactly the right piece. And then I think I'm pulling out now some pieces from, I think that's by Rachandbellacrafts, and it's her Welsh ephemera pack. As always, I will leave links for all of the digitals down below. And so I decided I like this, and apparently I printed it out twice because I've got 2 of the same size. But I don't like how much it blends in with the piece of paper, the book page bit that you see. So I am going to pull out some ink and add some ink to that. And so that's something to keep in mind when you're working with digitals. If it's not quite the right color for what you're doing, you can always take some ink and ink blend on top of it to change the color. And I believe I am grabbing Uncharted Mariner at this point. Oh, I'm pulling out a blank piece of paper to protect my work surface. And I am going to be grabbing ink at some point, and a brush. And yep, it is Uncharted Mariner Distress Ink, and I'm starting off the page and rubbing the ink onto the page. It gets a lighter application of the ink, and I actually forget to do that for the second piece, and so the edges on that one end up coming out darker than on the first one that I inked, but I actually kind of liked how that turned out, so I was okay with that. And so once I get these guys all inked up, I'm going to attach them front and back, and I actually used the one I inked second for the front because I liked how dark the edges came out on that one. And so I just apply a little bit of glue on the part that's getting glued to the front, and then flip it over and glue this piece completely and attach them so that the flap is sandwiched between the 2, as I did last time. So yeah, it really does help to have 2 pieces that are the same size. I'm not sure if I did it with the one that I do on camera, or I ended up working on some of these after the video ended. I did do a few where they weren't the same size, and what I ended up doing was just inking to cover up any white that's showing. Now for this, I think I'm either just gonna add ink straight to it. Is that what I do? I don't remember. We'll find out together. But what I am grabbing is Distress Oxide ink in Victorian Velvet, and yep, I just do ink onto the page. Now in doing this, I'm going to ink the page where the pocket's getting closed down on, but I'm also going to end up going around the other two sides and inking those panels as well, because I cut my coffee dyed paper a little bit smaller so it doesn't cover the entirety of the section. So I go ahead and go in and ink it so that there won't be any white showing, and I'm just going back in and trying to smooth out this blend. I don't know why it's such a splotchy blend, but yeah, it got very splotchy, and I think it's showing up splotchier on camera than it looks in real life, because yeah, that looks very, very splotchy. And so I'm just inking away. And I end up forgetting to ink kind of down the seam between the first panel and the second panel. And I think I go back and add some after I glue the coffee dyed paper down, because I forgot that that bit was going to end up showing white as well. And my glue got clogged up because I forgot to put the pin in between gluing. And again, just make sure you stay between your fold lines so that you don't have any issues with folding the piece up. And there I go, adding the ink to the edge there, because I realized I have white showing over there. And I'm adding the last piece of coffee dyed paper. And yep, it's clogged again. It's definitely gotten warmer, and it tends to clog faster in warmer weather. I don't know that you can tell, but the fine tip of the fine metal tip actually got pushed into the top part. So I'm waiting for a new metal tip to come in, and I apparently about once a year end up needing to replace the metal tip on my art glitter glue, and I'm just adding a little brush corduroy to the edges to make the edge of the pocket stand out a little bit more. I will probably go back and ink the rest of the edges on all of the pieces if I haven't already inked them, but that's not something you have to do right away or at all. It's completely up to you. And I'm just folding down my creases real well and gonna go grab something to put on this piece. And I think instead of doing a label, I end up grabbing some tag shapes from Digital by Abroutique, and the base paper of this is on my Porch Prints printable. Off to the side you can see some of the other ones that I had been working on, and the floral ones are printable by Fabi Art Studio, and the bees are an Abroutique printable. And I was very excited to find two that were the same shape that I could use for the little like tab styly closure-y thing that I'm doing on the front of these. And I'm probably pointing out that we're getting close to a time because we should be getting close to time, I think. Although I did have a few moments of introduction, because looking at the timer as I'm editing this, we're at like 44 minutes, almost 45 minutes, but there were at least a couple minutes at the beginning where I did a bit of an intro, so not sure how close we are to the end buzzer yet, because I do go a little bit past time on this one in order to finish up the half-sized one that I pulled out to do. So I don't know if we do just one more or if I actually squeeze in 2 more of these before the end of this video. We shall see. It's a mystery. Here's the little half-size one. And this is a printable by Fabi Art Studios. And so yeah, I guess I just do this one. And I'm gonna ink my edges on this one with Distress Oxide in brushed corduroy. And that was me just stopping the timer. And so again, inking around on the other pages, since I cut the coffee dyed papers a little bit smaller than the spaces where it's going to get attached, so that we don't have any white showing once the coffee dyed papers are added. And now I'm just gonna glue, oh no, this one I decide to pull out my Scorched Timber Distress ink and ink the edges on the pocket before gluing the pocket closed. And I think I ended up just going to town on inking on this one for some reason when I wasn't inking all the edges. Oh, nope. Just inked the pocket completely. Now I'm going to glue the pocket closed. And add the papers. And again, forgot to put the pin back into the bottle between sessions of gluing, and so got it clogged up. I'd say I need to go clean the nozzle, like take it off and do a thorough cleaning, but since I've got a new one arriving, I think tomorrow, I'm not even going to bother with cleaning that nozzle. I'll just wait and replace it when the new one comes in. And I'm reinforcing the fold with my bone folder, and I'm going to grab a label to stick on there for the closure, I believe. And I'm contemplating using, and I think I end up going with the ticket, and that's by Digital Fable. Yep, I picked the 2 tickets. Now these do not line up perfectly because of how I cut them out, so I'm looking for a dauber to ink my edges. And I'm going to ink those edges because it'll be easier before I add the label to do that. And this is where I decide to ink all of the edges. Don't know why all of a sudden I decided to do that, but yeah, inking all the edges, using a little Distress Ink Scorched Timber. Now I'm going to ink the edges on the other ticket, and I don't remember if I ink the back of the tickets now or after I do a dry run. Not now. So I'm going to glue the ticket on. So yeah, you can use whatever you have in your stash to serve as the little like label-y part on our flap. And I'm noticing that they are not lining up right. So I'm going to go in and ink all those edges so that no white's showing. Or apparently just the two side edges. And I'm just checking because there is, I think, a B on there. So I'm just making sure it's right side up and there's writing on there. So yeah, it took a sec to figure out which way was right side up. So there's the half page one finished. So let's take a look at everything we got done. There's two made out of book page, one that'll go with the sewing theme journal and our half page one. And then I've got one, and that's printable by GiggleGlitterGFX. Two, that's also by GiggleGlitterGFX. 3 and 4 and 5, where I've cut the coffee dyed papers to go in, and those last 3 are all printables by my Porch Prints. And then I've got 3 more cut that don't have the coffee dyed papers prepped for them yet. And I'm pointing out Fabi Art Studio and Abroutique at that point. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.